and Brad, the two most famous physical therapists on the internet.
Hi folks, I'm Bob Schrupp, physical therapist.
Brad Heineck, physical therapist.
And together we have the most famous physical therapists on the internet.
In our opinion, of course, Bob.
Brad, today you want to talk about some of the best at-home strengthening and balance tests for the rehab and elderly. Did I get that all right?
You got it exactly right. And Bob, you know, these tests are tests that therapists do on a regular basis. They actually have been studied. They have norms.
Standardized?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a website that you can go to and easily look at the norms and look at the directions in case you don't get everything. And then you might find I forgot something.
Right.
we forgot something in our instructions here. But the first one is the Tug Test.
T-U-G.
Capitals T-U-G is how you type it in, and that's stands for time to get up and go.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very simple test. You can do it right in your house. All you need is a chair.
You want me to be the chair guy?
Yeah,
or?
go ahead. Be the chair guy.
Okay.
And then you should have, you know, if you got a tape measure, use that, but this one's not long enough. Or you've got a 15 or 10 foot longer tape measure. You're going to measure. Sometimes I know my shoe is just about exactly 12 inches. I'll count out 10 feet or 3 meters. I know that's not exactly.
We're pretending this is 10
Yeah,
feet. We know it's not.
We know it's not. Okay, so you measured out. You can put a cone down, anything down on the floor in the home. You probably don't have a cone like this. Doesn't matter. You just get your distance marked out. And then the person who you're testing, if they use a walker, a cane, or whatever, you let them use whatever they feel comfortable with. Okay? You're going to have them sit in the chair nice and tall like Bob is. And you're going to measure the time it takes for them to get up, walk around the cone, come back, and sit down, and you hit the timer when their bottom side hits the seat pan of the chair, okay? And with this, you're just going to say, go, and then they'll go. Go ahead and do the test. And I'm looking at my timer, watching how things are going, and bang, I hit the stop button, and then record your time. You want to write down a note on it. If you're doing this at home, and therapists do this all the time anyways, or they should, is if the person pushes off with their hands, both hands off the armrest, go ahead and do that. If they need to do that to get up, you can make a note. Person needed to use both hands to get up, just so you remember. Because if you retest this in a month and they're feeling better and they can get up like that, that's a good sign they're stronger. They're probably going to be faster anyways. But then you know, and you have a record of it, and you know that.
So your instructions to them are to do this quickly but safely.
Right. It's not a race. You're not telling them to race around as fast as they can, but just get up, get around there in a smooth fashion.
I mean, these are people that normally they are not going to be able to run. I mean, that's so. I mean,
Right.
we don't have to worry about a person getting up and running around
Right.
the thing. These are people that are, somewhat barely functioning.
They're either elderly and weak, they're coming out of a sickness, maybe out of a surgery, a stroke, those kinds of things is where it's really handy to get a good handle on.
Right.
I just did one with a person coming out of a stroke, and it worked really well because she was able to walk fine with a cane, but I wanted to get a good handle on what she was compared to other people.
Which reminds me, Brad, by the way, if you are new to our channel, and a lot of you are,
sure.
We do provide lots of videos on how to treat people like who've had a stroke. If you've had pain or disability or some type of problem going on, we're going to help you with that. We upload a video every day.
Right.
So
let's go to number 2.
So please subscribe.
Yeah. The subscribe button.
Button is
Thanks,
over
Bob.
here somewhere on the screen.
Rehabmeasures.org. If you type that into your cell phone.
I'll put that down below, Brad.
Yeah, on your smartphone, your computer, rehabmeasures.org, and then Tug. Or the next one is called the 5-time sit-to-stand test. Very simple test on a chair. What they recommended was the height of the seat pan of the chair is 43 to 45 centimeters, but it doesn't have to be, as long as you use the same chair, the same height chair. Armrests, make sure you have armrests because sometimes they may not be able to get up without them. And then the instructions are, can you go from this position to a standing position and back down 5 times. You can use the armrests if you want, 1 or 2 or both, whatever you feel comfortable with.
Are you measuring? I mean, are you timing this?
Exactly. We're timing this so you have your stopwatch ready to go, and you don't have to tell them it's a race. It needs to be safe, of course. Just say get up and down and do it safely, but as quickly as
So
you
I take
can.
it if they don't make the 5, you're going to document that, and
Right.
that's basically, take how long it took them to do the ones they did, or just really
It's
that
just
they
gonna
didn't
be
complete it.
Right, it's not completed. You're not going to be able to go to the normative data and find out if they're at the normal person with that diagnosis or that age. Yeah, good question, Bob. Go ahead.
Fine.
So up, all the way tall.
All the way tall.
Yep.
Okay.
And then back down, and don't let them plop on the chair because they're not ready for it if they're hitting the chair.
What if they do plop?
They're not ready. Yeah,
They're not ready to do this test?
right. Unless they can control it on the next one.
They probably, if they plop too, my guess is they wouldn't be able to get up again.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They wouldn't. They'd probably be fatigued already to the point where they couldn't even get up.
Exactly.
So-
Or if it's a habit,
Right.
then that can be corrected.
Yeah.
Okay, and go a little
got
faster, Bob, just in case, it's someone that is a higher level.
That's 5.
5, and then we hit the timer, you hit the stopwatch. When the bottom hits the chair, write that down. Write down if they're using both hands, one hand, anything of that nature. If they lost their balance and needed to be corrected. And then you can go to that same website, rehabmeasures.org, 5 times sit to stand. It'll come right up right away. At least it did for me. And you can go down to the chart and find out.
That's a good resource, Brad. I'm going
Yep,
to be looking for that.
It is. Okay, and the last test. This one is for a higher level person. This is not for someone who's having a hard time getting up and walking 100 feet, or their balance isn't real good.
You could be still quite disabled to some extent.
Right.
I mean, we've done this on people who've been pretty weak, and they've been able to do it, but
Sure.
it taxed them.
Right.
I mean, so
In that situation, what they have to be able to do this test is walk for 6 minutes continuously.
which is a long ways for a lot of people.
And we're going to do this on a flat, consistent surface, so a nice long hallway. If you have a hallway, I like to have a 100-feet hallway. You don't have to have that, but a longer hallway makes it more accurate, I think. And
100
more-
feet or 33 meters?
Yep,
Is that what you
exactly.
have? And we got our little measuring device
Yeah.
here that we use.
If you've got one of these,
Flips up and,
Yep.
and measures it really nicely.
yep, very accurately. Because I'm telling you what, Bob, if you do that, it's going to work a lot better if you take a 6-foot thing
Yeah,
like
go
this
back.
and measure it out
Right.
427
It's
times.
going to take you a while. So
Okay.
you go out to 100 feet,
Right.
and the person's going to get up, and what instructions are you giving
Actually,
them?
why don't you back up, Bob? There's no chair involved in this one.
No chair, just a starting line?
Yep. There's a starting line. Now, if they can use a cane, a walker, whatever they normally walk with, okay? And then you just say, go ahead and walk. And Bob, you can just keep walking back and forth. You're going to let them walk. They have to be able to do this by themselves. You're not going to talk to them.
Yeah, no encouragement.
Right, no distraction, just as a normal walking pace. You can tell
You
them.
tell them a normal walking, right?
Yep,
Right.
normal walking pace. And then you just watch them and see if they deviate.
I have been told, though, Brad, that they can, and we've said this to people, if they get tired, they can lean up against the wall and rest.
You're exactly right.
Yeah.
It's a good point, Bob.
Yeah, I mean, because some of them have heart conditions, and they feel like they're starting. Obviously, if they start having chest pain or shortness of breath, you're going to stop the test.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good point.
So
And then you got to watch your timer though, because if they're halfway down the hall and it's 5 minutes and 59, 6 minutes, stop right there. So that's 6 minutes. Maybe you have to keep.
oh yeah,
track.
you didn't make it all the way. Is
Yeah,
what you're saying.
Yep. And then what I do is I have another cone or a marker, and I put it where they stop, and then they can sit down and rest. And let's say they went back and forth in a 100-foot thing 3 times. That's 1, 2, 3. That would be 3 times 3. You got to do a little math. That'd be 600 feet.
Right.
Plus an extra. Then you got to get your tape measure out or your little
Measure device.
measuring wheel and see how far that is. And maybe it was 672 feet. Write that down. If they had to stop and rest twice, you can jot notes like that down and then document it all and then put it away and then come back. You're going to have an exercise program. Maybe they're going to walk every day or they have some strengthening, whatever, or riding a stationary bike. Come back in a week or maybe 2 weeks. Repeat the test, any one of these tests. Actually, I like to do all 3 of these tests, and it gives you a good sense of, for endurance, balance.
They have a lot of
strength.
standardization on the 6-minute walk test. They've done a lot of studies on this one, Brad.
Yep.
Because I looked this one up, and they have it like, they predict whether or not you might be hospitalized
Sure.
again. they predict even your mortality to some extent.
Sure.
Like how long they think you're going to
These
live.
people that do studies, I don't know if they have a lot of time to think about stuff.
So it's a very good test. And I don't know if that rehabmeasures.org has all that information or not, but there is a lot of information out there on the 6-minute walk test about what you can predict by. So it's a very helpful test for that in that regard.
It's kind of like the mile run test for the VO2 max test.
Sure.
Yeah, except for a different level. And we're looking for different things.
Yeah, but they've measured the heck out of this one. So,
Yeah.
so these are great tests. I imagine, I don't know if people want to do these on their own, but they certainly could do like the Tug test easy enough to see whether, as long as they're being safe.
Right. So. If there's someone that has done some research on it, watched the video, and keeps things safe, I think it's reasonable.
Yeah. So, all right. Thanks, everybody, for watching.
Enjoy the day and keep on walking.